The stars above Earth were no longer visible. Giant alien ships blocked them out like dark clouds covering the sun. Captain Lee Hyun-woo stood on the observation deck of Earth's main space station, watching the enemy fleet through the thick glass. His hands shook slightly as he counted the massive warships, 50,000 of them, maybe more. The communication screen behind him crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, but the tone was cold and emotionless. People of Earth, this is Admiral Thrax of the Vorthak Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender. Completely. If you refuse, we will destroy your planet and everyone on it. Lee Hyun-woo turned around to face the screen. The alien commander looked like a giant lizard walking on two legs. His yellow eyes glowed with hatred. Behind him stood other aliens, some made of crystal, others covered in metal armor. All of them wanted Earth dead. Your species has been judged by the Galactic Council, the alien continued. You are too violent, too dangerous. You expand too quickly into space. This cannot be allowed to continue. The message ended. The screen went black. Lee Hyun-woo felt cold fear in his stomach. Earth had only 200 spaceships. The aliens had 50,000. It was like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Down on Earth, people ran through the streets in panic. News reporters spoke with shaking voices about the end of the world. World leaders held emergency meetings, but they all knew the truth. Humanity was about to die. In Seoul, Admiral Park So-jin sat in the underground command center. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She had fought in many space battles and never lost one. Now she faced the biggest challenge of her life. "Admiral," said her aide, a young man named Lieutenant Choi. "The president wants to know if we should surrender. Maybe they will let some humans live." Park So-jin looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet. The enemy ships were huge. Each one was bigger than Earth's largest city. Their weapons could destroy a planet in minutes. Any normal person would give up. But Park, So-jin smiled. "Send a message to all Earth Defense Forces," she said quietly. "Tell them to prepare for Operation Deep Blue." Lieutenant Choi looked confused. He had never heard of Operation Deep Blue. Neither had most people in the military. It was a secret. So deep that only a few dozen people in the world knew about it. Far below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Kim Jae-sung was having the strangest day of his life. He was a marine biologist studying the deepest parts of the ocean floor. His small submarine was equipped with the most advanced scanning equipment on Earth. For the past week, his instruments had been picking up weird readings from the Mariana Trench. The readings showed massive metal objects buried in the ocean floor. Objects bigger than mountains. Objects that looked like they were made by intelligent beings, not by nature. But that was impossible. No one could build anything that big and hide it in the ocean. "Computer, run another deep scan," Kim Jae-sung said to his submarine's artificial intelligence. "Scanning complete," the computer replied. "I detect artificial structures extending for hundreds of kilometers beneath the ocean floor. The metal composition is unknown. The structures appear to be ships." "Ships?" Kim Jae-sung laughed. "Ships don't grow to be the size of countries." "That is correct," the computer said. "However, my scans indicate these are not natural formations. They are constructed vessels of enormous size." Kim Jae-sung felt his heart beat faster. If there really were giant ships hidden under the ocean, who built them? And why were they there? Above the ocean, the alien fleet continued to position itself around Earth. Admiral Thrax stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling very pleased with himself. In 3 days, the humans would surrender or die. Either way, the galaxy would be safe from their dangerous expansion. "Sir," said one of his officers, a crystal-like being from the Nexari Collective, "our scans show that Earth has very few military ships. This will be easier than we thought." Thrax nodded. "Humans are primitive. They barely learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. They cannot possibly threaten our armada." On Earth, Admiral Park So-jin walked through the corridors of the command center. She passed rooms full of computers and communication equipment. Young officers worked at their stations, all of them looking worried. They knew they were about to fight an impossible battle. Park So-jin reached a special elevator that required her fingerprint and eye scan to operate. She descended deep underground, far below the regular command center. The elevator stopped at a level that did not appear on any building plans. The doors opened to reveal a massive chamber filled with advanced technology. Hundreds of people worked at stations that looked 50 years ahead of anything on the surface. Giant screens showed real-time images of every ocean on Earth, and in those oceans, things were starting to move. "Admiral," said Commander Bae Dong-hyun, a tall man with serious eyes. "All fleet commanders are ready. We're just waiting for your order." Park So-jin walked to the main control station. On the screen, she could see energy readings from the ocean floors around the world. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Ocean. All of them showed the same thing, massive power signatures waking up after decades of sleep. "How long has it been since the last full activation?" she asked. 153 years, Bae Dong-hyun replied. "Our ancestors built well. Everything is functioning perfectly." Park So-jin nodded. She thought about her grandmother, who had worked on the original project. Back then, humans had just learned that they were not alone in the universe. They had discovered that space was full of violent aliens who destroyed any species that threatened their power. So humanity had made a decision. They would prepare for war while hoping for peace. "Sir," called out a young technician, "the alien fleet is moving into attack formation. They'll be in optimal firing position in 18 hours. Park So-jin took a deep breath. After more than a century of preparation, the moment had finally come. Humanity would either survive or die in the next few days, but they would not go quietly into the dark. "Send the activation signal to all oceanic installations," she ordered. "Wake up the fleet. It's time to show the galaxy what Earth is really capable of." Around the world, deep beneath the waves, ancient systems came online. Lights that had been dark for decades began to glow. Engines that had waited patiently for over a century started to hum with power. And in the deepest trenches of Earth's oceans, things larger than cities began to move. 200 years ago, Earth looked very different. Humans had just invented faster-than-light travel and were excited to explore the galaxy. They built their first starships and sent them to nearby star systems, expecting to find friends among the stars. Instead, they found horror. The galaxy was controlled by ancient alien empires that had been fighting each other for thousands of years. These aliens saw new species as either slaves or threats. There was no middle ground. When humans tried to make peaceful contact, the aliens laughed and demanded surrender. Earth's first ambassador, a brave woman named Yoon Hae-ri, barely escaped with her life. She brought back terrible news. The galaxy was not a place of peace and cooperation. It was a battlefield where only the strongest survived. "We have maybe 50 years before they notice us," Yoon Hae-ri told the World Council. 50 years to prepare for a war we cannot win with normal methods." That's when the genius engineer Choi Min-ho came forward with an impossible plan. "We can't build enough ships on the surface," he said. "The aliens will see them. But what if we build them where they would never look?" The Deep Blue Protocol was born in secret. Only the world's greatest leaders knew about it. They would build humanity's real fleet in the one place aliens never bothered to scan, the bottom of Earth's oceans. For the next century and a half, while humans appeared to slowly expand into space with small colonies and trading ships, their real work happened underwater. Massive factories were built in ocean trenches. Automated systems mined asteroids and brought the materials back to Earth through hidden space routes. The ships they built were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each one was 3 kilometers long and packed with weapons and technology that Earth's best scientists had developed in secret. They called them Leviathans, after the ancient sea monsters of legend. Now, as alien warships surrounded Earth, Commander Bae Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of the flagship Leviathan. Around him, 30,000 crew members were waking up from stasis sleep. They had been waiting for this day their entire lives. "Captain," said Lieutenant Nam Yu-jin, a young woman who had spent 20 years training for this moment. "All systems are coming online. The crew is ready for combat." Bae Dong-hyun nodded and looked at the main screen. It showed the ocean floor around his ship. For decades, the Leviathan had rested here in the deepest part of the Pacific Ocean, covered by a layer of sediment and protected by stealth technology that made it invisible to any scanner. "How many ships in our sector?" he asked. 300,000, sir, Nam Yu-jin replied, all of them reporting ready for activation. 300,000 ships in the Pacific Ocean alone. The Atlantic had another 300,000. The Indian Ocean held 200,000 more. Even the Arctic Ocean, under its ice, contained 100,000 vessels. In total, humanity had built over 1 million warships and hidden them in the depths of their home planet. Nam Yu-jin still couldn't believe it was real. She had grown up knowing she would someday serve on one of these ships, but seeing it with her own eyes was overwhelming. The bridge of the Leviathan was bigger than most Earth cities. The ship carried enough firepower to destroy an entire solar system. "Lieutenant," Bae Dong-hyun said quietly, "I know this is frightening. When I was your age, I had nightmares about this day. But remember, our ancestors built these ships so that humanity would never have to bow to anyone." In the Atlantic Ocean, Admiral Shin Woo-jin was having similar conversations with his crew. His ship, the Kraken, was surfacing from a trench near the Bermuda Triangle. As it rose through the dark water, its hull began to glow with energy. The ship was so large that it created its own currents in the ocean. "Sir," called out his communications officer, "we're receiving wake-up signals from ships all over the world. The entire fleet is coming online." Shin Woo-jin smiled grimly. He had been born on this ship during a test mission 40 years ago. His parents had been part of the crew that maintained the fleet during its long sleep. Now it was his turn to command. The technology on these ships was incredible. While the aliens fought with plasma weapons and energy shields, humans had developed something far more advanced. They had learned to manipulate matter itself, turning atoms into energy and back again. Their weapons could phase through normal, shields and armor like they weren't even there. Captain Oh Mi-young stood in the hangar bay of her ship, watching as thousands of fighter craft prepared for launch. Each fighter was piloted by someone like Pilot Kang Tae-min, a young man who had trained his entire life for space combat. "Remember," Oh Mi-young told her pilots over the communication system, "the aliens think they're fighting primitive humans with simple technology. We're going to show them how wrong they are." Kang Tae-min climbed into his fighter and ran through the pre-flight checks. His ship was small compared to the Leviathans, but it was packed with technology the aliens had never seen. His fighter could become completely invisible, move faster, then light without using normal engines, and fire weapons that could destroy ships 10 times its size. All around Earth's oceans, the awakening continued. Ships that had slept for decades were stretching their hulls and testing their weapons. Crews were remembering their training and preparing for the fight of their lives. Dr. Kim Jae-sung was still in his small submarine when the ocean around him began to light up. His instruments went crazy as massive energy signatures appeared everywhere. The water itself seemed to glow as giant ships rose from the depths. "Computer," he said in a shaking voice, "what is happening?" "I am detecting the activation of large-scale human military vessels," the computer replied calmly. "It appears Earth has a significant hidden fleet." Through his submarine's windows, Kim Jae-sung saw something that made his mind struggle to understand. A ship so large it looked like a moving island was rising past him. Its hull was covered in weapons, and its engines created a light brighter than the sun. On the surface, whales and dolphins fled in panic as the ocean itself seemed to come alive. Seismic sensors around the world detected what looked like massive earthquakes, but they were really just the sound of humanity's secret fleet awakening. Admiral Park So-jin watched the global status reports with satisfaction. Every ocean was reporting successful activation. Over 1 million ships were coming online exactly as planned. The technology worked perfectly, just as the engineers had promised. "Admiral," said Commander Bae Dong-hyun over the communication link. "All fleet commanders report ready for surface emergence. We await your orders." Park So-jin looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet above. They had no idea what was about to happen. They thought they were fighting a weak planet with a few hundred ships. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not courage or determination. It was preparation. "All fleets," she said into her microphone, "begin surface emergence. Show the galaxy what Earth has been building." Admiral Zethrax stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling confident about the coming battle. His yellow eyes looked down at the blue planet below. In a few hours, he would give the order to attack, and Earth would become a dead rock floating. "In space, sir," said his sensor officer, a crystal being whose body sparkled in the ship's lights. "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the planet's oceans." Zethrax barely looked at the readings. "Probably just their primitive nuclear submarines. Humans always hide underwater when they're scared. But the energy readings were getting stronger, much stronger. And they were coming from everywhere on the planet at once. On Earth's surface, people stopped running and screaming. They turned their faces toward the oceans as a deep rumbling sound filled the air. The sound was so low and powerful that it made buildings shake and car windows rattle. Dr. Kim Jae-sung's submarine was still deep underwater when the first ships began to surface. Through his windows, he watched in amazement as the ocean floor opened like a giant flower. Massive doors that had been hidden under sediment for decades swung open, revealing huge chambers filled with warships. The first ship to emerge near him was so large that he couldn't see its edges. It rose past his submarine like a moving mountain, its hull glowing with energy. The ship kept rising, and Kim Jae-sung realized it was heading for the surface. Admiral Shin Woo-jin felt his ship break through the ocean's surface for the first time in 50 years. Water poured off the Kraken's hull as it rose into the air. Around him, hundreds of other ships were doing the same thing. The Atlantic Ocean looked like it was giving birth to a fleet of giants. "All ships report successful surface breach," his communications officer announced. "We have 300,000 vessels now in flight." From space, the alien fleet watched in growing alarm as Earth's oceans began to boil with activity. Ships larger than their biggest dreadnoughts were rising from every body of water on the planet. And they kept coming. Hundreds became thousands. Thousands became millions. Captain Oh Mi-young launched her fighter squadrons as soon as her ship cleared the water. Pilot Kang Tae-min's fighter shot out of the launch bay like a bullet, immediately becoming invisible to alien sensors. Around him, 50,000 other fighters did the same thing. "All squadrons. This is Captain O." Her voice came through his helmet radio. "Remember your training. These aliens have been bullying the galaxy for thousands of years. Today, we show them what happens when they pick on Earth." Kang Tae-min smiled as he flew toward the alien fleet. His fighters' computers were already analyzing enemy ship designs and finding their weak points. The aliens used technology that was thousands of years old. They had never needed to improve because no one had ever challenged them. That was about to change. Admiral Zethrax was no longer feeling confident. His sensor officer was reporting impossible readings. "Sir, I count over 1 million human vessels. That can't be right." "Run the scan again," Zethrax shouted. But each scan gave the same result. Earth somehow had a fleet larger than anything in galactic history. Where had they been hiding all these ships? Commander Bae Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of the Leviathan as his ship rose from the Pacific Ocean. Through the main screen, he could see the alien fleet in orbit above. They looked nervous now, their ships moving into defensive formations. "Lieutenant Nam Yu-jin," he said to his young officer, "target the alien flagship. Let's introduce ourselves properly." Nam Yu-jin's fingers danced over her control panel. Leviathan's main weapon charged with energy that made the air itself glow. The weapon was based on technology that could change matter at the atomic level. When it fired, it would turn the target ship's armor into harmless gas. "Weapon charged and ready, sir. Fire!" The beam of energy that shot from the Leviathan was invisible to normal sight, but the alien flagship's armor began to dissolve as soon as it touched. In seconds, a hole the size of a city block appeared in the enemy ship's hull. Admiral Zithrax felt his ship shake as the human weapon hit. His damage control officer screamed in panic. "Sir, their weapon went right through our shields. It's eating through our armor." "Return fire," Zithrax ordered. "All ships, open fire on the human fleet." The alien armada unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, energy torpedoes, and gravity bombs filled space with deadly light. But something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to flicker and fade, and most of the alien weapons passed right through them without causing damage. Engineer Ryu Jun-sik had spent 30 years perfecting the quantum displacement drive. It allowed human ships to shift slightly out of normal space-time, making them almost impossible to hit. While alien weapons passed through empty space, human ships could attack from a dimension the aliens didn't even know existed. General Lim Se-ra watched the battle from her command center inside Mount Fuji. The mountain was hollow, filled with defense systems that had been built in secret over the past century. When alien ships came too close to Earth, massive weapons rose from hidden locations all over the planet. "Target the alien cruisers attempting orbital bombardment," she ordered her artillery crews. "Show them that Earth itself is armed." Weapons hidden in mountains, deserts, and under cities opened fire. The aliens found themselves being shot at not just by ships, but by the planet itself. Every piece of land on Earth seemed to have weapons, hidden under it. Strategist Hwang Da-eun coordinated the battle from the main command center. Her job was to control over 1 million ships at once, making sure they attacked in perfect coordination. She had spent her entire life studying battle tactics, and now she was putting everything she knew into practice. "Sector 7. Advance on their left flank," she commanded. "Sector 12. Hit their supply ships. Sector 20. Prepare for quantum jump behind their main force." The human fleet moved like a perfectly choreographed dance. Groups of ships would disappear from one location and instantly appear somewhere else, firing their weapons before the aliens could react. It was like trying to fight an enemy that could teleport at will. Alien ships began to explode as human weapons found their targets. The mighty Vorthak dreadnoughts, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, were torn apart by weapons they couldn't understand. Crystal ships of the Nexari Collective shattered like glass under the assault. Admiral Zithrax watched in horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed. In 30 minutes of fighting, he had lost over 10,000 ships. The humans had lost none. "Sir?" his communications officer called out, her crystal body flickering with fear. "We're receiving surrender requests from our allied fleets. The Nexari Collective is asking permission to withdraw." "No!" Zithrax roared. "We came here to destroy these primitives. We will not be defeated by a species that barely knows how to fly." But even as he spoke, more alien ships were being destroyed. Human fighters darted between the large vessels like deadly insects, their weapons tearing through armor that had protected alien fleets for millennia. Pilot Kang Tae-min flew his fighter directly through an alien battleship, using his quantum phase system to become temporarily immaterial. As he passed through the ship's engine room, he dropped a small device that would turn all the ship's fuel into harmless water. The alien ship stopped moving as its engines died. Around him, thousands of other human fighters were doing the same thing. They weren't just destroying the alien fleet, they were showing them that human technology was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. On the surface of Earth, people came out of their hiding places to watch the battle in the sky. They could see flashes of light as weapons fired, and they could see alien ships falling like burning stars. Dr. Kim Jae-sung finally surfaced in his submarine to find the ocean around him filled with human warships. Each one was large enough to house a city, and they moved through the water and air with grace that seemed almost magical. He activated his radio and called the nearest ship. "This is Dr. Kim Jae-sung. Can someone please tell me what's happening?" A calm voice replied, "This is the Earth Defense Fleet. We're defending our home. Please stay clear of the battle zone for your safety." Kim Jae-sung looked up at the sky, where the greatest space battle in history was taking place. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were winning. The alien fleet was breaking apart. Admiral Zathrax watched in disbelief as his mighty armada scattered across space like leaves in a storm. In just 2 hours of fighting, the humans had destroyed half of his ships and damaged most of the rest. "Sir," his communications officer said, her crystal body now dim with fear. "The Nexari Collective is retreating. They say the humans are using impossible technology." "Cowards," Zathrax snarled. But even as he spoke, he could see other allied fleets pulling back. The proud Kalari Empire, the ancient Thos Federation, even the warrior clans of Gorvak, all of them were abandoning the battle. Only the Vorthak Empire remained, and they were dying. Engineer Ryu Jun-sik stood in his laboratory aboard the command ship, watching his quantum displacement drives work perfectly. The technology allowed human ships to exist in multiple dimensions at once, making them nearly impossible to destroy. "Sir," his assistant called out, "the alien fleet is trying to adapt to our quantum phase technology. They're modifying their weapons." Ryu Jun-sik smiled. "Let them try. It took us 50 years to perfect this technology. They won't figure it out in a few hours." The aliens were learning, but too slowly. Every time they thought they understood how human weapons worked, the humans would switch to something completely different. Ships that had been firing energy beams suddenly started using gravity weapons that crushed alien vessels like tin cans. General Lim Si-Ra coordinated Earth's planetary defenses from her mountain fortress, hidden weapons installations all over. The planet were now revealed, firing massive beams of energy into space. The aliens discovered that Earth wasn't just defended by ships, the entire planet was a fortress. "Mountain Base 7, target the alien command ship," she ordered. "Let's see how their admiral likes being shot at by a planet." A weapon hidden inside the Rocky Mountains fired a beam so powerful it lit up the night sky. The beam struck Admiral Ai, Zathrax's flagship, tearing through its shields and armor like paper. The alien ship spun out of control, trailing fire and debris. Strategist Hwang Da-eun orchestrated the battle like a master musician conducting an orchestra. She commanded over 1 million ships with such precision that they moved as one giant organism. Her tactics were so advanced that the aliens couldn't predict what would happen next. "Groups Alpha through Delta, perform quantum jump to coordinates 447.332, she commanded. "Groups Epsilon through Theta, prepare gravity well formation." Instantly, 400,000 human ships disappeared from their positions and reappeared behind the alien fleet. At the same time, another 200,000 ships created artificial gravity fields that trapped alien vessels like insects in a web. The aliens had never seen warfare like this. Their generals had studied military tactics for thousands of years, but all their knowledge was useless against an enemy that could rewrite the rules of physics. Captain An Byung-ho led a squadron of exploration ships away from the main battle. His mission was to follow the retreating alien fleets and see where they went. Earth needed to know if more enemies would come. His ship, the Deep Explorer, could travel faster than anything the aliens had. Using quantum tunneling technology, It could cross vast distances in seconds. As he followed a group of fleeing Nexari ships, he listened to their panicked communications. "Emergency message to Nexari High Command," the aliens were broadcasting. "Earth is not what we thought. They have technology beyond our understanding. Request immediate audience with their leaders. We must negotiate before they come for us." Captain On smiled. The aliens who had come to destroy Earth were now begging for peace. Admiral Jang Subin commanded the human deep space fleet. While most ships defended Earth, her job was to take the fight to the enemy. Her ships were already jumping to alien colonies and military bases throughout the galaxy. "Target their supply lines," she ordered her captains. "We want them to know that Earth can strike anywhere in the galaxy." Human ships appeared at alien military bases hundreds of light-years away, destroyed their defenses in minutes, then disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. The message was clear. Nowhere in the galaxy was safe from Earth's reach. Back in Earth's orbit, the battle was reaching its climax. Admiral Zathrax had committed his last reserves, throwing everything he had left at the human fleet. But it was like throwing stones at a hurricane. Commander Bae Dong-hyun watched as the alien flagship limped through space, its hull cracked and burning. "Lieutenant Nam Yu-jin, open a communication channel to the alien commander." The main screen showed Admiral Zathrax on his damaged bridge. The proud alien looked old and defeated. Behind him, his ship was falling apart. "Admiral Zathrax," Bae Dong-hyun said calmly. "This is Commander Bae of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came here to destroy our world. How is that working out for you?" Thrax's yellow eyes burned with rage and humiliation. "Your species should not exist. You are too dangerous. The galaxy will never accept you." "The galaxy doesn't have a choice," Bae Dong-hyun replied. "You picked this fight. Now you get to live with the consequences. Any alien ship that wants to surrender should power down its weapons and prepare to be escorted out of our solar system." Across the battlefield, alien ships began powering down their weapons. The great invasion fleet that had come to destroy Earth was now a collection of damaged vessels begging for mercy. Pilot Kang Tae-min flew his fighter through the wreckage of the alien fleet. Destroyed ships drifted through space like broken toys. He had been trained his entire life for this battle, but he had never imagined it would be so one-sided. "All fighter squadrons, this is Captain Oh Mi-young," his radio crackled. "Begin escort. Duty for surrendering alien vessels. Anyone who tries to run gets disabled, not destroyed. We want them to go home and tell their friends what happened here." The human victory was so complete that it shocked even Earth's own people. In 6 hours of fighting, a fleet of 50,000 alien ships had been reduced to fewer than 10,000 survivors. And the human fleet had lost exactly 0 ships. Dr. Kim Jae-sung bobbed on the ocean surface in his small submarine, surrounded by the largest fleet in galactic history. He had spent his life studying the ocean's mysteries, but the biggest mystery had been hiding right under his nose. A human warship approached his submarine. It was so large that its shadow covered him completely. A voice came over his radio. "Dr. Kim, this is Admiral Park So-jin. Would you like to come aboard and see what your tax money has been paying for?" As Kim Jae-sung was brought aboard the command ship, he couldn't believe what he saw. The ship's interior was like a floating city, filled with technology that looked 50 years ahead of anything on Earth's surface. "How long have you been building all this?" he asked Admiral Park. 153 years, she replied, "ever since we learned that the galaxy was not a friendly place. We hoped this day would never come, but we were ready when it did." News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light. Alien civilizations that had never heard of humans suddenly wanted to know everything about them. How had a species that seemed so primitive built the most powerful fleet in galactic history? The answer was simple, but terrifying to the aliens. Humans were very good at planning for the worst possible situation. While other species fought with the weapons they had, humans spent over a century building the weapons they might need. As the last alien ships limped away from Earth's solar System, Admiral Park So-jin addressed her fleet. "Today we proved that Earth will never bow to bullies," she said. "But this is not the end. This is the beginning. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity is here to stay." On planets throughout the galaxy, alien leaders watched recordings of the battle with growing fear. Earth had just defeated the largest invasion fleet in galactic history without breaking a sweat. If humans could do that to defend their home, what could they do when they went on the attack? The old galactic order was dead. A new power had emerged, and it came from a small blue planet that nobody had taken seriously. Nobody would make that mistake again. 3 weeks after the failed invasion, the galaxy was in chaos. News of Earth's victory had reached every corner of known space, and alien civilizations were panicking. The species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers had just crushed the largest military force in galactic history. Ambassador Lee Kyung-mi stood in Earth's first orbital embassy, looking out at a line of alien ships that stretched beyond the horizon. Each ship carried diplomats from different species, all desperately wanting to meet with humanity's representatives. "Ma'am," said her assistant, a young man named Deputy Minho Seok, "we have over 300 alien delegations requesting immediate meetings. The waiting list is now 6 months long." Lee Kyung-mi rubbed her tired eyes. She had been a trade negotiator before the invasion. Now she was Earth's most important diplomat, meeting with alien leaders who used to rule the galaxy. "Schedule them all," she said, "but make it clear that Earth sets the terms for these meetings. We're not begging for acceptance anymore." The first delegation was from the Nexari Collective, the crystal beings who had fled from the battle early. Their leader, a tall crystalline figure named Prime Resonance Veltar, seemed nervous as he entered the meeting room. "Ambassador Lee," Veltar said, his voice sounding like wind chimes, "the Nexari Collective wishes to formally apologize for our participation in the invasion. We were misinformed about humanity's capabilities." Lee Kyung-mi sat calmly across from him. "You came here to help destroy my planet and kill my people. Now you want to be friends because we won? Please understand," Veltar pleaded. "We were told that humans were a dangerous species that needed to be controlled. We did not know you had such advanced technology. We would like to establish trade relations and perhaps learn from your scientific achievements." "That will depend on how helpful you are in the future," Lee Kyung-mi replied coolly. "Earth remembers its friends and its enemies." Meanwhile, Captain An Byung-ho was leading deep space reconnaissance missions to alien homeworlds. His ship, the Deep Explorer, could travel faster than any known vessel, reaching distant star systems in hours instead of months. His current mission was to visit the Thos Federation, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. When his ship appeared in their home system, the reaction was immediate panic. "Unknown vessel," came a frightened transmission. "This is Thos Defense Command. Identify yourself immediately." "This is Captain An Byung-ho of the Earth Reconnaissance Fleet," he replied calmly. "I'm here to deliver a message from humanity." The entire Thos fleet scrambled to intercept him, but Captain An's ship simply phased through their formation without slowing down. The aliens watched in amazement as the human vessel passed through their heaviest battleships like they were made of air. "How is that possible?" the Thos admiral screamed at his science officers. "Their ship is ignoring our matter." Captain An landed on the Thos homeworld's capital city, where millions of aliens gathered to stare at his ship. The Thos were ancient, beings who looked like walking trees, and they had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. The Thos High Council met him in their greatest temple, a building older than human civilization. The council members' wooden faces showed fear as they looked at the human captain. "What does Earth want from us?" asked Elder Barkthan, the oldest of the Thos leaders. "Nothing," Captain An replied simply. "I'm just here to let you know that humanity exists and that we can reach any planet in the galaxy whenever we want. What you do with that information is up to you. The message was clear. Earth could strike anywhere, anytime. The old powers of the galaxy were no longer safe in their distant strongholds. Admiral Jang Subin was leading humanity's first major offensive operations. Her expeditionary fleet had been given a simple mission: liberate any world that asked for help and destroy any military base that threatened Earth. Her first target was a slave world in the Vorthak Empire. The planet Kepler 442b had been conquered centuries ago, and its people had been forced to mine rare metals for their alien masters. When Admiral Jang's fleet appeared in orbit, the Vorthak garrison panicked. They sent desperate messages to their empire, begging for reinforcements, but help was weeks away, and the humans were already landing. People of Kepler 442b, Admiral Jang broadcast to the planet. This is the Earth Liberation Fleet. Your oppressors are no longer welcome here. Anyone who wants freedom should stand up now. The planet erupted in revolution. Slaves who had suffered for generations rose up against their masters. Human soldiers provided weapons and support, but the real fighting was done by the people themselves. Within days, the Vorthak Empire had lost one of its most valuable colonies, and this was just the beginning. Back on Earth, the hidden ocean facilities were being converted from weapons factories to exploration shipyards. The same technology that had built the war fleet was now creating vessels designed for peace and discovery. Engineer Ryu Jun-sik walked through the massive underwater complex where he had spent most of his life. Instead of building weapons, the automated systems were now constructing hospital ships, research vessels, and colony transports. "It's strange," he told his assistant, a young woman named Dr. Park Soo-young. "We spent over a century preparing for war. Now we have to learn how to build for peace. The galaxy needs to see that we're not just destroyers," Dr. Park replied. "We need to show them what humanity can create, not just what we can destroy." The first human colony ships were already launching, carrying mixed crews of humans and aliens to establish new settlements on unexplored worlds. These weren't conquest fleets. They were partnerships between species that had chosen to work with Earth. President Moon Jae-won addressed the United Nations in a special session broadcast to the entire galaxy. Representatives from dozens of alien species watched as humanity's leader explained Earth's vision for the future. "The old galaxy was ruled by fear and violence," President Moon said. "Powerful empires conquered weak species and enslaved entire worlds. That time is over. Earth offers a different path: cooperation instead of domination, trade instead of tribute, friendship instead of fear." But not everyone was ready to accept the new order. The Vorthak Empire was preparing for a massive counterattack, gathering what remained of their fleet for one final assault on Earth. Admiral Zethrax had survived the first battle, though his pride had not. He now commanded a secret base in the outer rim of the galaxy, far from human patrols. Around him, the last loyalist forces of the old galactic order were gathering. "The humans think they have won," Zethrax told his assembled commanders. "But they have only won one battle. We will gather every ship, every weapon, every warrior in the galaxy. When we return to Earth, we will bring enough force to crack their planet in half." The alien resistance included the most violent species in the galaxy, beings who would rather die than accept human leadership. They were fewer in number than the first invasion force, but they were more desperate and more dangerous. Earth's intelligence services detected the alien buildup and began preparing for a second wave of attacks. But this time, humanity wouldn't wait to be attacked. They would strike first. Strategist Hwang Da-yoon studied star charts showing the location of every known alien military base. Her job was to plan humanity's preemptive strike against the resistance forces. "We have confirmation of enemy fleets gathering in 12 different systems," she reported to the Earth Defense Council. "If we let them finish their preparations, they could pose a real threat." "Then we don't let them finish," Admiral Park So-jin replied. "Prepare for Operation Galactic Storm. It's time to show the galaxy that threatening Earth has consequences. Dr. Kim Jae-sung had become something of a celebrity since the invasion. The marine biologist who had accidentally discovered humanity's secret fleet was now Earth's most famous scientist. He spent his time studying alien technology captured from the invasion force, learning how other species had developed their sciences. The fascinating thing, he told a group of reporters, is that most alien technology is thousands of years old. They stopped innovating because they never had to. They conquered everyone who might challenge them, so they never needed to improve. "What about human technology?" asked one reporter. Kim Jae-sung smiled. "We never stopped improving because we always knew someone bigger and stronger might come along. That's why we were ready when they did." As Earth prepared for the next phase of galactic conflict, alien civilizations throughout the galaxy faced a choice. They could join the old order's desperate last stand, or they could accept humanity's offer of partnership and cooperation. Most chose Earth. The galaxy was tired of endless war and oppression. For the first time in thousands of years, there was hope for something better. But the final battle was still to come, and it would determine whether the galaxy's future would be built on freedom or fear. 6 months had passed since the failed alien invasion, and the galaxy would never be the same. What had once been a collection of competing empires and slave worlds was becoming something entirely new, a confederation of free species working together under Earth's protection. President Moon Jae-won stood before the First Galactic Assembly, a gathering that would have been impossible just a year ago. The Great Hall on the space station New Hope contained representatives from over 200 different species, all of them equal partners in the new galactic government. "Today marks the end of the Age of Empires," President Moon announced to the Assembly. "No longer will powerful species dominate the weak. No longer will entire worlds live in fear of conquest. From this day forward, every species has a voice in their own destiny." The applause came from beings of all shapes and sizes. There were the crystal-like Nexari, the tree-shaped Thos, the bird-like Karani, and dozens of other species that had never been allowed to speak for themselves before. Admiral Park So-jin, now Supreme Commander of the Galactic Defense Forces, watched from the observation deck. The woman who had once hidden humanity's greatest secret now commanded the largest peacekeeping force in galactic history. Her fleet was no longer hidden beneath Earth's oceans. The massive ships now patrolled trade routes, protected colonists, and kept the peace between former enemies. The same vessels that had been built for war were now tools of peace and exploration. "Admiral," said her aide, Commander Bae Dong-hyun, "we've received reports of pirate activity in the Rigel sector. 3 merchant ships have been attacked in the past week." Park So-jin nodded. "Send the Pacific Squadron to investigate. Make sure the pirates understand that attacking peaceful traders is no longer acceptable. The Pacific Squadron was one of 12 human fleets that now protected different regions of the galaxy. Each squadron contained 50,000 ships and could respond to threats anywhere in their sector within hours. The pirates in the Rigel sector learned this lesson quickly. When Captain Oh Mi-young's squadron arrived, the pirate fleet surrendered without firing a shot. They had heard what happened to those who fought against Earth's forces. Dr. Kim Jae-sung had become the galaxy's leading expert on interspecies cooperation. The marine biologist who had accidentally discovered humanity's secret was now running the largest scientific research program in galactic history. His current project involved teams of human and alien scientists working together to solve the galaxy's greatest challenges. They were developing new medical treatments, cleaning up polluted worlds, and exploring the farthest reaches of space. "The amazing thing," he told his research team, "is how much we can accomplish when we're not fighting each other. In 6 months, we've made more scientific progress than the galaxy made in the previous 1,000 years. His team included Dr. Nexari Velshin, a crystal being who specialized in energy manipulation, and Professor Thos Willowbend, whose people had studied biology for millennia. Working together, they had just developed a cure for a plague that had been killing entire species. Engineer Ryu Jun-sik was leading the transformation of Earth's underwater factories. The same facilities that had built weapons of war were now producing tools of peace and exploration. "We're launching 50 new exploration ships this month," he reported to the Earth Council. "Each one carries a mixed crew of humans and aliens, and they're all heading to unexplored regions of the galaxy." These exploration ships were marvels of cooperative engineering. They combined human quantum technology with alien knowledge of exotic matter and crystalline energy storage. The result was vessels that could travel farther and faster than anything ever built. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy with the new order. In the dark spaces between stars, the remnants of the old empires were gathering for one final assault. Admiral Sthrax had spent months recruiting every species that refused to accept human leadership. His new fleet was smaller than the first invasion force, but it was filled with the most violent and desperate beings in the galaxy. "The humans think their victory is complete," Sthrax told his commanders as they gathered in a hidden base beyond the galactic rim. "They have grown soft with their peace and cooperation. They will not expect us to strike at the heart of their new order." The target was the Galactic Assembly itself. If Sthrax could destroy the space station and kill the representatives of 200 species, the Galactic Confederation would collapse into chaos. Earth's intelligence services detected the threat, but not in time to prevent the attack. Captain An Byung-ho was leading a routine patrol when his sensors picked up a massive fleet approaching the New Hope station. "This is Captain An to Galactic Defense Command," he radioed urgently. "I have visual confirmation of hostile fleet. Estimate 5,000 ships, all armed for heavy assault. They'll reach New Hope in 6 hours." The station began immediate evacuation procedures, but there wasn't enough time to get everyone to safety. President Moon Jae-won refused to leave, as did most of the alien delegates. They had spent months building trust between their species, and they would not abandon that trust now. Admiral Park So-jin scrambled every available ship to defend the station, but most of her fleet was scattered across the galaxy on peacekeeping missions. She could only gather 2,000 ships in time to face Sthrax's assault. The battle for New Hope was unlike anything seen before. Sthrax's fleet attacked with suicidal fury, willing to sacrifice everything to destroy the symbol of the new galactic order. Human ships fought desperately to protect the station and its precious cargo of peace. Pilot Kong Tai-min flew his fighter through the chaos of battle, dodging enemy fire while protecting the evacuation ships. His quantum phase technology allowed him to appear and disappear at will, striking enemy ships before they could react. "All fighter squadrons, focus on the alien command ships," Captain Oh Mi-young ordered over the radio. "If we can take out their leaders, the rest might surrender." The battle raged for hours. Human ships used every advanced technology they possessed: quantum displacement, matter conversion weapons, gravity manipulators, and temporal distortion fields. But Sthrax's forces fought with the desperation of those who had nothing left to lose. Just when it seemed like the station might fall, reinforcements arrived. Admiral Jang Soo-bin had been leading an expedition in the Andromeda Galaxy when she received the emergency signal. Using experimental long-range quantum tunneling, she brought her entire fleet across 2 million light-years in minutes. "This is Admiral Jang to all human forces," her voice crackled over the radio. "The cavalry has arrived. Let's finish this." The fresh human fleet tipped the balance decisively. Sthrax's forces found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. One by one, the alien resistance ships were either destroyed or forced to surrender. Admiral Sthrax himself was captured when his flagship was disabled by Commander Bae Dong-hyun's precise targeting. The proud alien leader was brought before the Galactic Assembly in chains, a symbol of the old order's final defeat. "What will you do with me?" Thrax asked President Moon defiantly. Execute me like the tyrant you have become? President Moon looked at the alien with sadness rather than anger. No, Admiral. We'll give you something your empire never gave its enemies. A chance to live in peace. You'll be imprisoned, but you'll be treated humanely. Maybe in time you'll understand. That cooperation is better than conquest. With the destruction of the Resistance fleet, the galaxy finally had true peace. The old empires were gone, replaced by a confederation of free species working together for the common good. Dr. Kim Jae-sung stood on the observation deck of New Hope Station, watching as human and alien children played together in the station's gardens. These children would grow up in a galaxy where cooperation was normal and war was just a memory. It's amazing what we accomplished, he said to Admiral Park, who had come to watch the children play. A year ago, most of these species had never even spoken to each other. Now their children are best friends. Admiral Park smiled as she watched a human child teaching an alien child how to play soccer. This is what we were really fighting for, she said. Not just to protect Earth, but to create a galaxy where all children can grow up in peace. The transformation continued. Weapons factories were converted to schools and hospitals. Military bases became research centers and cultural exchanges. The same technology that had enabled war now enabled exploration and discovery. Engineer Ryu Jun-sik launched the first truly galactic expedition, a fleet of ships carrying volunteers from every member species to explore beyond the galaxy's edge. They would seek out new civilizations and offer them partnership instead of conquest. We're not just exploring space, he told the expedition crews. We're exploring what's possible when people work together instead of fighting each other. The expedition ships disappeared into the void between galaxies, carrying the message of peace and cooperation to whatever they might find in the darkness. Back on Earth, the ocean trenches where humanity's secret fleet had slept for so long were being converted into something new. Instead of weapons, they now housed the galaxy's greatest university, where beings from hundreds of worlds came to learn and teach. Ambassador Lee Kyung-mi, now Earth Secretary of Galactic Affairs, stood in the main lecture hall watching students.